Welcome to Crown Council Live. Steve Anderson here, joined by Stuart Anderson, who just stepped off the plane at the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. Perfect time, Stu. So
Thank you, made it.
Welcome to Dallas. I'm just up the road and looking forward to seeing you here in just the next few minutes. Why don't you tell everybody what brings the Crown Council team to the great state of Texas this weekend?
You bet. So if I miss anything, you got to fill it in.
You got it.
If I'm flustered here, we're waiting for bags, sitting on the curb. So I don't know how many years we've done this, Steve, but maybe 10.
A lot.
The Smiles for Life Foundation a lot of years. The Smiles for Life Foundation gathers what are known as the Child Life Zone directors. All across the country, there's the directors of the Child Life Zones in the different hospitals that the Teammates for Kids and Smiles for Life Foundation helps build. And those zone directors, we bring them together once a year for a weekend, culture training, masterminding, just an opportunity that we saw to bring together these directors to come together, to learn from each other and solve problems in the same way that the Crown Council membership comes together at different live gatherings. We saw it as like a real need for these zone directors to come together. We also obviously have fun. Usually Garth is involved in some way, but it's a really exciting, interesting way to be directly involved with where Smiles for Life helps charitable causes one-on-one. So I'll be there, you'll be there, Greg will be there. I don't know, there's about 18 different
hospitals.
Zone directors. Yeah, 18 different directors that will show up, and we'll host them over the next 2 days. Just making sure that they are loved, that they know that the work that they do makes a difference, and then offering some support from Smiles for Life Whitening. So that's it. I mean, that's what I do. Hopefully, I love being with these ladies. They are absolutely the very best of the best when it comes to charitable causes and taking care of children. It's where I would want my kid to be if they were ever sick. So what did I miss? What else?
We're glad to have you, Stu. This is one of the projects that we do all together. Everybody that's involved with the Smiles for Life Foundation. So all the money that's raised, this is one of the projects that we chose years ago to do in conjunction with Garth Brooks' Teammates for Kids Foundation. And so these are the program is what's called Child Life. They're medical-free play zones, play therapy zones that are built in children's hospitals all over the country, where they can go to get well in the absence. So they get to go there to escape medicine for a little bit, and they have all kinds of structured activities. And the very first experience we had when we first started this years ago, our relationship with this whole program was coincidentally, we back when our second oldest daughter, Abby, was 6 years old. So this has been 20 years ago. She ended up at Dallas Children's Hospital with an acute problem. We didn't know what it was. And we got to experience the Child Life Zone. That was one of the very, very first that they built anywhere in the country, and got to see firsthand what it does for a child's experience when they're receiving medical care in hospitals. So it's a great experience. And so our thanks to everybody. This is one of the projects that you may not see up close and personal all the time. And it has an impact on tens of thousands of children across the country every year who are served by these Child Life Zones. So thank you.
And Steve,
yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me still? Last year, well, I guess it was this year at the annual event in Dallas, we brought, if you were there, you remember the zone director for the Dallas hospital was brought on stage, and we honored her with an award for all her work, all that they do. I mean, I'm not saying it's a thankless job, but a lot of work that goes unnoticed by these incredible servants. So anyway, we'll be with them this week.
In fact, we'll be there. That's Jill Koss, and she's the Child Life Director at Cook Children's Hospital in Fort Worth, and has done that work for many, many years. So it's a high impact, and it's one of the the many things that working together allows us to do that no one individual would ever be able to do on their own. So
Very cool.
welcome to Texas, Stu.
Thanks, Steve. I need a sweat wipe, and I'll see you soon.
we turned up the temperature a little bit.
Some water.
Here. Yeah, plenty warm.
Okay,
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, thanks.
Good deal. Appreciate Stu jumping in. We have a great program today that includes Dr. David Phelps from Freedom Founders, Gabe Gonzalez from a top Crown Counsel practice in New Mexico. We'll hear from Dr. Chad Boger in Plymouth, Minnesota. We've got a great program today with some great insights and things to build your practice and build your life. So with that, we're going to bring in Dr. David Phelps, a longtime friend and great friend of the Crown Counsel. David, welcome.
Stephen, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. And I have to comment first about the object above your left shoulder, which is near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
Twin Stingray bicycle.
Yes, sir.
Above your left shoulder. So here's mine. You got your own. I think yours is red. Is yours?
Well, I actually had it's called the Schwinn, apple crate.
That's right. Okay, the apple crate. Yes.
Yep. That was my model.
Yeah, I think they just resurrected the orange crate color. They're doing a retro bring back of the Schwinn Stingray, of course, near to my heart. Wrote a book about mine.
Right, that's right.
And, it's great. So great to have you with us. For those who may not be familiar with Dr. David Phelps, dentist by education. And David is the founder of Freedom Founders. And fascinating story about how this got started. But as a dentist, David was very, very intent on getting to a place in his life where he was financially free, and has did a tremendous amount of research and was able to accomplish that goal, and started Freedom Founders as a way to share that dream and that system with other people. A lot of dentists that are a part of that. And Freedom Founders is a network of dentists and professionals that have the goal of financial freedom and freedom in life. And they share ideas in a mastermind format of, David, if it's okay if I call it, contrary thinking, that is not traditionally what you find in the investing world, that helps them be financially free. So I wanted to have a discussion today because of the timeliness of this. Certainly a lot of ups and downs in the stock market the last couple of months. We could say trauma. And with all the trauma in the stock market, inflation, I have one of my very, very close friends, who is also one of my wealthiest friends. Every time I talk to him, inflation's on his mind, what it's doing, how's it eroding his investments, the whole deal. It's on everybody's mind.
Sure.
And so we thought it might be appropriate today to get some mentor input, some wisdom, and maybe some little bit of contrarian thinking about how you look at what's going on today in our economy, in the market, and how you think about it in terms of financial freedom. So thanks for sharing your wisdom with us today. So how do you see what's going on today?
Well, not totally unexpected, I would say. If you look at the long wave going back to 1980, which is the last time this country really dealt with inflation to a great extent. Inflation back then was running 15%. Until Volcker came in, Fed chairman, and took the Fed funds rate and took it all the way up to 20%. Can you imagine? They were complaining about 2.25 or maybe 2.75, and took it way up to do what? To fight inflation, because inflation was out of control. So we've had 40 years of declining interest rates from that high point in 1980 all the way down to July of 2021 last year, where I think we hit the low point. So this is a big wave trend. Now, in between, there's always going to be cycles. And typically we have market cycles, business cycles of about every 6 to 8 years. Generally speaking, that's an average. this last cycle, if you go back to the 2008 Great Recession, we had a long bull market, and then we had the blip in COVID of 2020. The Fed came to the rescue once again and resurrected the economy. But what's that based on? So my point is, we can't keep kicking the can down the road. We have amassed a sovereign national debt that is beyond my comprehension. Over 30 trillion in national debt, and unfunded liabilities way over 100 trillion. It boggles my mind. But we play that game because we have the sovereign reserve currency, and we continue to play that game. But I think now it's finally the chickens have come to the roost, so to speak. And so the Fed and the government are trying to deal with this inflation we haven't seen in 40 years. So how do you do that? You have to reduce demand, and they do that by raising interest rates. So the cost of everything to us as consumers, whether it's housing or just things we buy at the store, or the companies trying to maintain a profit, so that's stock market, get the squeeze, and that starts to cause some level of reduction in demand. And you could say we might be falling into a recession. Hasn't been technically said yet, but we've had 2 declining quarters of negative GDP. So I think we are probably in a recession. How far does this go? That's the question. So this is not unforeseen. I think just being on the forefront of understanding these are unfortunately normal cycles. We don't know how deep this one's going to go, how long it's going to last. Anybody can prognosticate that. But it's like everything we talked about, Steve, just in our own businesses, our practices, you've got to be on the forefront of this. You have the ability to steer your ship, irregardless of what the rest of the economy is doing. We can't control that, but we can control what's in front of us. I like to see, control what I can control in my own business, and I like to control what I feel like I can control in my investments. And that's why I've always liked real estate, because it's more of an inefficient marketplace. I can't just click a mouse, and so it takes some work, it takes some network, it takes some relationships, but I do have I have more control over that aspect of investments than I do in other areas.
So your advice today to those who are concerned about the economy's effect on their portfolio, on what they're doing, their long-term investing horizon, is what? I mean, what is your direction based on your experience?
I think you have to decide. It's probably going to depend on where you are in life and career. We can't do everything all at once, no question about it. I think you have to focus on what's the most important for you. And that may be your practice. And you don't need to be going out and figuring out real estate or some other thing or playing in the crypto markets. It's got to be up to you what you feel like you can focus on. And I think that's key. When you have the opportunity, or you have the propensity to want to have more control over your investment portfolio, wherever that is, then it's going to take some study. I am not an expert by any means on Wall Street. So I'm not saying you can't be a student of that. I'm not saying you couldn't do that. I just know what I found over 40 years, that I have more control in tangible assets, be that a business or real estate. That's just my forte. But you've got to decide. So either you find somebody that you feel like you trust that can help you navigate, or you get out there and you start doing some things on your own. And again, it's a choice. There's always trade-offs to either one. So there's no perfect way to navigate this. It really depends upon where you are in your life, where your greatest time value should be expended.
So you and I had a conversation last week that we'll talk about last week in just a minute, but about sometimes the origin of unconventional wisdom that works comes from some of the most unusual places. You would not be someone that anybody would have pegged to be the financial freedom guru, and you have become that because you had a passion for it that came from someplace totally different than money. It was not money driven, but certainly as benefit. Maybe just real quick snapshot of the backstory behind Freedom Founders.
Well, I mean, I got involved in real estate itself very early while I was in dental school, because I had a curiosity about money, about wealth. How does this work? How do you become a good investor? That's where it started. But how Freedom Founders came about was when my daughter Jenna, who had already survived high-risk leukemia when she was very young, 2.5 to 5 years old, and then a series of years of epileptic seizures, which were not managed very well, just did the best they could. And then ultimately she was in end-stage liver failure at age 12. This was 2004, so 18 years ago now. And it was during that time that she was recovering from her liver transplant that I made a decision. And I think we have to do that in life sometimes, make a decision that I was going to change something in the dynamic, because her life and my time, or my ability to have time with her, was more important than just making money or investing in real estate. I mean, those were things that gave me more options, but I decided to sell the practice in 2004, and I did so. And I really, what I wanted at that time, Steve, was just to buy back some time. And I figured I could figure it out later, whether I'd go back to dentistry, or, I had some real estate, not enough to carry me the rest of my life, but I had enough to buy some time back. And I think that's what people need to do today. So Freedom Founders came out of that. I didn't go to start Freedom Founders because I had to do something. It was just, people asked me, how was I able to sell the practice and be okay, just be okay, at least for a while. So I just started showing a handful of people that I knew, here's what I've done here. You can piggyback on some of the things that I've been doing. And it just kind of took off from there.
And so today, Freedom Founders is really a mastermind concept. And in fact, maybe you can describe a little bit how it all works and how the process works.
It's a community, it's a network, and the caliber of the people that we serve, there has to be certain benchmarks, because I can't help everybody, but with the people we can help, we have benchmarks for that. And then certainly the biggest part for me and for those in the community is, well, if we're going to invest in real estate, and we don't want to do it ourselves, because we don't teach, go out and, buy rental properties and be a contractor and manage tenants. I mean, that's okay to do that. And I did that when I was very young, but most of our people say, no, I don't want to do that, but I still want to be, on the safe side, especially navigating the markets. So we have curated through my network in the real estate markets, a number of what we call trusted advisors. They are people that I know, that we do background checks on everybody. We perform due diligence and underwriting to give as much safety to what we have the opportunity to invest in. And there's different aspects of investing in real estate. You can have individual properties. You can lend money as a bank, which is a thing I like to do when the markets are kind of in correction mode. We have syndication opportunities where you can invest a portion of money with other people into multifamily apartments or self-storage or senior assisted living, for example. And then there's people that are very good and have funds that invest in real estate for even broader diversification. So there's lots of places to go, and we just try to curate the best of the best and help our members with education first, so that they become, again, really their financial advocate, but they have the guidance of the entire community to help them navigate that.
Got it. So it's in some ways you're helping them with guidance and advice. They're helping each other. I mean, it's very much a community of people with similar goals, straight out of the definition of a mastermind. Two or more minds joined together in harmony with a single purpose can produce more than the sum of the parts. And that's what you do.
It's very open, very transparent. And so everybody, drops their ego at the door, but everybody, comes with high merits of attaining goals, but helping each other. And you talk about what's worked for them. Everybody takes a little bit different path. Everybody comes with a little bit different place in life and where they want to go from point A to point B. So everybody's helping each other navigate that with the opportunities that we're able to curate for them.
All right. So anybody that's interested in that kind of a direction, or wants to know more about Freedom Founders, what's a good starting point?
Probably go to the website freedomfounders.com, and you can read through some of what we have there. Really, beyond that, there's a place where if you'd like to have a discovery call, just to learn more specifically about Freedom Founders, how does it work? Is it right for me or not? There's a place where you can actually schedule a call. Click a link there, and we can make that happen. And that's a good way to find out, whether or not the timing would be good now or maybe later.
Gotcha. As well as the David Phelps Library. How many books have you written?
We're working on number 7 right now.
Number 7. Fantastic. And so freedomfounders.com has all the information, and a wealth of information. So I'm going to segue just a little bit while I've got you. One of those books, last week, you were very generous to donate to a group of very eager high school and college age students that attended Eagle University, Eagle U. And David, you were one of the mentors there, spoke to all the students about financial literacy and financial freedom. And the book that you shared with them is one of my favorites. Can you share with everybody just real quick. There's been a lot of news recently in the media about what's going on with Gen Z coming into the workforce. So
Yeah.
the numbers of Gen Z that are in the workforce today compared to the millennials is more than double. And part of that is supply and demand, right? There's a huge demand in the workforce. And so a lot of them are going into the workforce, whereas the millennials didn't do so good, and because there wasn't as much available. And you've got a whole take on this that I love, because it's all very much in keeping with our whole philosophy of copying genius. So tell us real quick about the apprentice model for those that have young people in their life.
Yeah, I wrote the apprentice model because we know that today, the cost of education, any post-high school education, graduate school, professional school, dentistry, the cost is very, very high today. And I don't believe that it's necessary for everybody. Not everybody needs to go and just climb the mountain to get degree after degree after degree. That was really kind of the program back when I was going through school. I think today there's a huge opportunity for a great number of young people to find their way to becoming very prominent in the workforce, start businesses, instead of going up that high in the ranks of formal education, amassing that much debt. Is the apprentice model really talks about, and it really goes back to the mentoring that we had last week, the mentoring that we had at the roundtables, is find somebody through your network, maybe it's your parents' network or people around your parents, but find somebody that you could spend some time with in their business. It doesn't have to necessarily be a business that you might want to go into. It can, but I think just finding someone who has the values, maybe those people you find them at Rotary or Kiwanis or through your church, but there's people that or somebody knows that could say, hey, well, there's a Steve Anderson out there. Steve Anderson, you did this kind of with Walter Haley back in the day. You picked out Walter Haley and said, hey, there's a man that has a lot of experience in life, and I'd like to tap into that. So as I recall, you showed up kind of at his door and said, hey, here I am, I'll do whatever. Well,
yeah,
that's the point.
I told him we were going into business together.
Just pretty much laid out the rest of his life for him, which I think he appreciated. So you can do the same thing wherever you are. Find those people and show up that way and say, look, I'm here, I'll serve, but I want to learn. So give me whatever you got. And you find that right person. We love to mentor. We love to get back. And if you show up with that kind of attitude, think how much you could learn if you took a year, maybe take 2 years off from whatever that next thing is in your climb. And I'm not saying you can't go back to school. You can always go back to school. You can always, but then you'll have more direction and really, is this right for me? Rather than just plowing through from high school to college to graduate school, and take a breath, take a little time to figure out what you want. And then if you decide to take on a specific degree, fine, do it. Now you have more purpose in that.
I love the way you think, David, and thanks for that insight. And thank you for last week. So we had Eagle University, Eagle U last week. High school and college students from all over the country came into Baker University for the week, and David kicked off our last day, our mentor day. So he led a group of 55 different mentors that came in to be interviewed by the students, and David presented to them, and then was interviewed by the students that whole morning. And so David, thank you for your contribution of wisdom. And I'll embarrass you a little bit, but David was very generous to sponsor a significant number of students this year to attend Eagle U, and made a huge difference in their lives. So thank you for that generosity and for making that happen for them and for the whole group.
Oh, my privilege. It was an amazing group, and what you and the others are teaching them at Eagle U, hands down, is just a fast track to getting them out into the world and having a much better understanding and clarity about how to navigate what's out there.
That is the goal: 7-year head start in their career, and everything that you share is so much in alignment with that. So thank you for the financial advice today. Thank you for the insight for the young people. And again, freedomfounders.com is where David and his team live online. David, thanks for being with us today. And thanks for providing some stability in an otherwise bumpy economic market right now.
My pleasure. Thank you, Steve.
Got it. Thanks so much. Very good. We're excited to have some insight. I'll give you just a little bit of a calendar update. So it is almost the end of July, and the annual Smiles for Life Foundation Whitening campaign, as you know, that is sponsored by the Crown Council, runs the whitening portion of that, where we whiten teeth, runs March, April, and May. We wrap that up in June. And then July 31st, which is coming up, is the cutoff date for donations in terms of the accounting part. So one of the things that I love about the Smiles for Life Foundation Whitening campaign is the friendly competition that we have across the country, where everyone tries to raise the most amount of money possible. And we post the scoreboard every week so everybody can see what everybody else is doing. And so purely for accounting purposes, on the end of July 31st, we tally up all the accounting, and we post the final scoreboard and recognize those that have raised the money. We have several different categories that we do. Those that raise the most, those that raise the most per team member. So we have some fun areas, and of course, love to recognize that at the Crown Council annual event that's coming up now in January in Salt Lake City, Utah, at the Grand America Hotel. This will be an amazing event, and Smiles for Life is a part of that. And you can still sign up for that at crowncouncil.com coming up in January. So with that, with the deadline approaching for accounting, so if you're holding on to any more donations, now's the time to get them in so that they can be accounted for the 2022 campaign. On August 1st, it just rolls over to the 2023 campaign, and the accounting starts again. So this is an ongoing project. So earlier this week, we had a conversation. Stuart had a conversation with Dr. Chad Boger. And I love the Bogers. I've been involved, and the Bogers have been a part of the Crown Council community for many, many years. Chad and his family have built an amazing practice. And a big part of their practice strategy is what we call doing good, and not giving back, but doing good. We've always said that when you give back, that phrase that's crept into our vernacular in our society, giving back implies that you took something. And we think that's a bad connection. That doesn't make sense. You don't have to take something in order to give it back. And so we prefer that we discuss efforts to make a difference in the world as doing good. And certainly charitable efforts are a part of doing good, like the Smiles for Life Foundation Whitening campaign. So we asked Dr. Chad Boger to take just a few minutes and give us a little bit of insight from his perspective, having grown up in a practice that was committed to doing good, and now building on that legacy and what they do in their practice to build their practice, build patient flow, and do good. So this is earlier conversation with Dr. Chad Boger.
All right, welcome to our live stream, Dr. Chad Boger and Kim Cannon. Welcome from Plymouth, Minnesota.
Yes, that's right.
We are grateful, Greg and I are grateful to have you on to speak just for a few minutes about Smiles for Life and how over the years your office has been so successful with raising money for Smiles for Life Whitening. And especially, I mean, we watch your team and how incredible they are when we get to be together at the annual event. I hope we can maybe spend even just a few minutes talking about your team and your practice and what you guys have built over the years. But welcome, grateful to have you. Looking very patriotic, Dr. Boger, USA basketball, very good. So maybe as an introduction, will you guys talk a little bit about your practice, the size, where you are, and just a bit of the history so everyone knows a bit about you?
Sure. I'm the benefactor of having a great team. So my dad started the practice 46 years ago, I think, or almost 47. And we're in Plymouth, Minnesota, which is 20 minutes west of Minneapolis. We've grown, and my dad, smaller practice has grown now, and we have 42 employees and 6 doctors. And so it's a big operation in one sitting. So we don't have 2 offices, one. So we got a lot of moving parts here. We keep things moving and interesting.
You guys are one of the top offices in the Smiles for Life Hall of Fame. I think there's only maybe 3 practices who have raised more money over a lifetime of Smiles for Life. So 309,683.75 in case anyone's trying. Over the lifetime. So congratulations on Smiles for Life Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Maybe talk about how you guys look at Smiles for Life year to year. What is it about it that makes you decide, let's do it again? We're off and running.
Well, I don't know if Kim can touch on this more than I can, but one thing is always fun. The annual event is a chance just to get reinvigorated with it and seeing just the totality of good that happens through the whole program, not just what we get to do. I think we certainly would say our connection to the charities themselves. So they're people that we know over the years, and so some of them are patients, some of them are just people that they've been doing good with. So that makes it easy just to say we get to support them. But our team's fired up. I don't know what else that they like and love about it, but
I don't think it's ever a question if we're going to do it. It's just something we do. So every year we just plan on it. And we try to introduce new things. And
in some ways,
one of the things
easy way to do it. You want to be connected with the community, and it's like, okay, well, that's one easy thing for us to do. And I try to do a few things all the year, but it's the big one that we can also go to those same places that we're connected with and say, and here's a check, right? And here's something that's going to make. And then everybody loves to have money to do the good things they do. Sorry, Greg, interrupted you.
No, I was just saying that we do see that the offices that seem to do the best at this are offices that make Smiles for Life part of the culture. And I loved your answer. That is, we just do it. It's part of the office culture. Comes around, we do it, and you've had the same charities for a couple of years now. And so I'm sure it becomes part of the income that they hope to receive as well.
Yeah, they're always happy.
Very good. Maybe talk about, so one thing that we hear is that running some Smiles for Life Whitening year after year is difficult. It's all the patients have had received whitening, or how can we continue to do the. So since 2000, I'm looking here, since 2005, your practice has raised 10 to 17,000, 20,000, 16,000. I mean, so every year. Maybe talk about that for a minute. How is it successful year after year?
So I'll start it, and I'm going to hand it off to Kim because we've had to pivot a bit. The pandemic did a little bit, but we started off and it was easy. We dedicated obviously the period of time for whitening, and it was everybody got into it, and then and we did a lot of whitening, and it was only whitening, and we had rooms. But then the pandemic happened, and we also grew in size where we're almost busting out of the seams. So then it was harder to get a whole room for an in-office treatment, and so then it was harder, and then we had to shrink it, and then coming out of this, we said, well, this is not going the direction we're going. We wanted to keep raising more money, not less. And so put the team to the task of saying, well, what else can we do? And you guys came up with some great ideas. And
we've had challenges in the past. And one year, Dr. Boger shaved his head when we hit our goals live on camera.
Right.
Actually, his family did it for him. But that was fun, and the team loved that. But as Dr. Boger said, these last couple of years have been more difficult, more people in masks, and just getting people to whiten, and they want to participate. in the charities. So this year, we always email blast and let our practice and our team know about when it's coming and be prepared and save appointments, reserve things like that. But this year we did something newer. We did a roundup program, and it took us a little bit to get into it, but we simply, it's like when you go to the pet store and they ask you to round up for the Humane Society. I mean, I always do. So we just simply asked our patients, would you like to round up your patient portion today for Smiles for Life? And we were shocked at how many did it. And it could be $1, it could be $10, it could be whatever they wanted to do. So that was kind of fun. It was a little bit of a challenge to get people to feel comfortable asking, but Chris, our TOPS representative, was great at her verbiage, and she helped us with that. And that's been fun for us. And we want to continue that throughout the year.
Nice. Kim, would you say you run Smiles for Life in the office? Are you in charge of making sure it runs smooth?
Oh yeah. We had to figure out how we were going to post this, how we were going to do this, but yeah.
Yeah, it's one of our.
Everybody gets involved.
It is one of our recommendations. If you're watching and you've never done Smiles for Life before, choosing someone in the practice who is in charge of Smiles for Life is a key to success for sure. If no one's in charge, if no one orders Whitening or cares about marketing campaign or cares about the charities that are being connected with, it kind of just falls away and doesn't work. So we call that person the charity champion, Kim. So there you go.
I'll take it.
Hey,
but I mean, it's making people aware. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
For us accounting nerds, explain how you do roundup.
It was a challenge, let me tell you. So we were trying to figure, because we're on an EagleSoft program, and how do you do this? And patients want receipts. So we first just started posting it to their account, and then at the end of the month, we'd tally it, and then we'd send it into the portal. And now we've actually got a Smiles for Life patient in EagleSoft that we post to, and then once a month, we'll send it in.
Great idea.
So it works. And people want to, and they like getting the cards with their, we post all the cards with their names that they've donated, and they just feel really good about it, whether it's, like I said, $1 or $20 or whatever they're able to give, and they do.
Very cool.
It's
So
fun.
you put their little things on the wall behind you? Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we put them on the window behind the front desk, so.
If you guys were at the annual event and sitting at a table with a practice who's never done Smiles for Life before, what advice would you give that practice if they turn to you?
Well, they're missing an opportunity to do something good in their community, right? There's got to be somebody in your place that you know, a patient that's got an organization that is worth committing to. So I think that's one thing is it's an opportunity to go find somebody that you get to do something good for. And patients have been receptive to it. I mean,
Really
right?
receptive.
It's an easy thing. They can tell that you're doing something good too. So you look good while you're doing good. Seems like a win-win for everybody.
Definitely. I agree. How about you, Kim? Any advice you'd give to a team member starting off Smiles for Life for the first time?
Well, I think it is good to get the entire team involved and get them kind of excited about it, and
because
to see the success. And
you need their help, right?
Right, you need their help. It's fun to have a challenge. We like that. And I think just talk about it. I mean, just little things around the practice. We utilize the items that you send, the posters, the stand-ups. We also do a screen saver in all the treatment rooms with the logo. So
Nice.
It's always kind of front and center to keep people thinking about it. And, when you're busy, it's easy to forget, but yeah.
Very cool.
Little things.
Very good. Gregor, any other questions for him before we wrap up?
I'm wondering about the time when you go to present the check to the charity. Do you do anything special? I mean, do you say, hey, next year, what we'd really love, what do you do when you take the check? Anything special?
We've
That's
done
a
the,
big check.
well, we've done a little bit of everything, but over the years, right? But yes, I think we've done the big checks where they walk in and we take it. It's good for a photo op. There's been some times where we've actually been at the place, where we've been going there to volunteer, and so it's like, you're just there and you're talking and you can see the people, and so there's that where we're there. I don't know if that's really special, but that's what it's been. I don't know if we
And
did
that'll
it.
be at the schools.
Yeah. Did we do anything else? I forget. Big checks.
It's been mainly big checks.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah, where I was going with the question was, you make an appointment or you're there and you physically hand it to them. You don't just drop it in the mail and say, thank you very much.
Yeah, another chance to build the relationship and the connection, right?
And that is so important.
Yeah.
Also motivates them to think of you when they've got a patient that needs some help.
Very
Exactly.
cool. Well, all righty, crew. We're grateful for your time. Thankful for all you do to build Smiles for Life Whitening and be leaders in Crown Council. So grateful for our minutes here together today. Anything else before we wrap up?
Well, I guess thanks for the opportunity to not just be here, but for getting us to do Smiles for Life in the first place, right? You guys help keep all of us together and make our impact even bigger than it could be by ourselves.
Nice. Well, go ahead, Kim. Sorry, what was
Well, I
that?
just said we're proud to be part of it.
Nice. Well, good. Well, a guy told me to always say, well, we're happy to do it. So. Hey, guys, thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right. Have a good afternoon.
All right. Welcome.
Very good. Well, our thanks to Dr. Chad Moger and Kim and his whole team. They, for 2 generations now, have been leaders in their community and just an amazing example of building a great quality practice and doing good in the community. So speaking of doing good and great quality practices, I'm excited to invite in Gabe Gonzalez from Albuquerque, New Mexico. So Gabe is with us and excited to have him all the way from New Mexico. Gabe, good day.
Hi, how are you doing, Steve?
Doing super good. Thanks for being with us on Crown Council Live today. And I have an agenda for you that is about 3 times as long as this program permits. And so I appreciate you taking some time. So just a little bit of context for everybody. So Gabe is the CEO. Can I give you that title? Does that work all right?
Yes, that's great.
Of Academy Dental Care in Albuquerque, New Mexico, one of the top practices in Albuquerque. And Gabe is as the leader of the practice, and Chelsea, his wife, who is a dentist, have built and continue to build just an amazing practice in New Mexico, and have done that in so many different ways. And maybe, Gabe, you can just give us for starters, just give us a quick snapshot of how the 2 of you got started, kind of the origin of the practice. Give us a little snapshot.
Yeah, sure. So we started in 2014, and we had purchased her uncle's practice. And being new owners, we didn't have a lot of direction on really how to run a business, because the dentistry sometimes is the easy part, but the other part of building relationships with teammates and with patients, that takes a lot of work to do it the right way. So that's why when we joined the Crown Council, it was such a great opportunity for us to be able to really take our team to the next level. So that's kind of how we got started with TOPS, and everything that TOPS kind of preaches and what they guide dental offices to do really makes it so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel. And that's really key when you can really leverage experience that other people have done, so that you have a really good roadmap on how to become an elite practice.
One of my favorite experiences, favorite stories in your practice came from Dr. Gonzalez's involvement in her Crown Council mastermind group.
Yep.
And this was an extraordinary experience, but you were expecting, was it child number 2?
Yes, number 2.
Child number 2, and maternity leave was on the horizon. And the one who stepped in to help with that came from a most unusual source. You want to tell everybody that quick story? I thought it was so cool.
Sure. Yeah. We were actually at a Crown Council event and we were trying to figure out how do we make this work. Dr. Gonzalez is going to be out for a while. And Dr. Kern, who was also part of the Crown Council, we made a connection and we just started talking and we said we needed somebody to help, with the practice who really can come in and hit the ground running. And she was really able to do that. And she was a total lifesaver. And what was nice is because she already had the principles down, it made the transition of working with the team and the patients really easy. And the great thing is when we went through that whole process and finished with Dr. Kern, everybody told us it's like nothing was any different. It's like she knew exactly what she was doing. And that was great to have another partner with us in the Crown Council that made that so easy for us to handle.
Yeah, that was it. So Dr. Jeanette Kern practiced her whole career in California and moderates one of our Crown Council mastermind groups. And so she had the flexibility to be able to step in, and she did. The verbal skills, how everything's supposed to work, just kind of a seamless transition in and out. And I know that she had an amazing experience with your team as well. And it was so neat to see all that come together. So you talked about the annual event. I know that's one of your team favorites at your office. Tell us why.
The big thing is we spend so much time working with patients and spending time on patients. Oftentimes we work so hard, we forget to take care of ourselves. And so one of the things that I like about the annual event is because it's something that everybody can take away and improve both at work and personally as well. We didn't know what to expect the first time that we went, but when we walked away, we said, this is really the organization that we want to be a part of, because we were energized when we finished. And we came back and we had a mission. And then the first year that we brought the team with us, the whole team, really it kind of set the stage of how we wanted to work together, to really do great dentistry in the community moving forward. And that was really the stepping stone for us to be able to do that. And I just love it that, we're able to work on ourselves, because as a manager myself, if somebody's not working on themselves in general, how in the world are you going to be able to have them work on themselves at work? So it has to be like, a big picture of how people want to become the best version of themselves at work. And really the annual event is kind of the stepping stone for that, I think.
Yeah, it's very much an inside out proposition. And great teams are made up of great people. And when you work on the people, the team emerges, and you all get that at a very, very high degree. I know that, at least I have been told, that one of your favorite events is our TOPS Leadership Academy. And you have been to that many, many times. We've done it online for the last 2 years during the pandemic. In fact, I think there was a period there when we were doing Leadership Academy 2 and 3 times a week. And we're excited to bring that back in person again this fall. So tell us about your experience there and why that's become a favorite for you.
Yeah, for some of the people that are on the call, I actually came from corporate America, and one of the things that they do in big organizations is they have knowledge sharing. And that's something that's really difficult to do when you're in a practice and you have another dental office that's next to you, but you don't exactly want to just work directly with them. And so what I really take away from the leadership academies that have been so helpful for both me and my team is you really get a chance to have like a working session with other professionals that do what you do, and oftentimes may have some of the same challenges that you do. And every time I go to this event, it's great because I get a chance to sit with other people where maybe, I'm kind of giving some examples of what it is that we do. But a lot of the things that we've actually implemented in our practice is just by sitting down at a table with other office managers, other doctors, other hygienists or assistants or business team members. And they describe some of the same things that they're going through, and you take away nuggets. And what I love about the Leadership Academy is that when you have other people that are trying to do the same thing with the patients, they really give you a roadmap on, how to come away with something to where you can implement it in your practice and actually make it work. Oftentimes we do conferences, but then you come back home and then you're like, don't really do anything with it. And when we come back from the Leadership Academy, there's easy things for us to implement that have amazing outcomes for both the team and for patients.
Thank you for that. And it's always an amazing experience to watch what happens when that kind of experience gets facilitated and you just have the opportunity to interact And usually the ideas and the content that comes out of just the interaction is far better from what gets presented from the front of the room. And I know you would agree with that. So, so I always love having you there because you are an anchor, and I think one that a lot of people look up to just because of your background and experience, and your business acumen is just so valuable, especially for other people. So with all of that, with all of your background and everything that you've experienced in business, even, previous to even building the practice, you're a big believer in having a coach.
Yes.
And where did you pick that up? And tell us kind of the background and what your experience has been there.
Yeah, so really I came from corporate America, from a training organization. And so I spent really kind of, 15 to 20 years knowing how important it is to be able to have teammates and leaders grow together, and to get better. And so one of the things that we did when we first started working kind of with the Crown Council is we realized that we need somebody who can help us find where our blind spots are. Somebody who's really positive and can help you build a plan on how to take your practice to the next level. And when we had a coach join our team, it was so valuable to be able to have somebody come in like every 3 months, like every 90 days, because just like with anything else, you talk about what it is that you'd like to implement, but it's about the follow-up. And what I loved about the coach is that they could kind of see how the practice was running over a period of time. They'd give us some coaching and some training, and then they were actually in the middle of the team in the practice, being able to visually see and observe what was going on. And this is a thing that would be the best thing to share with the team, is that nobody really knows exactly how that's going to feel. But the great thing about the coaches that TOPS have is that they're not there as a consultant to tell you, this is what you're doing wrong. I was so impressed with the professionalism of how they, the teammates after like the first session, they were asking, when can they come back? Like what they were kind of sharing with me, when they were seeing how I was doing an exam or how I was dealing with the patient with perio, they were able to do like real coaching like in real time. And that's so beneficial for the team, so that you don't have to wait until a few days afterwards or, to the next check-in to be able to discuss some of those things. So what I've come to understand is that I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but what I do know how to do is to get the right people to help me come in to really set the stage, give us some guidance, help us with the plan so that we can deliver to our patients, really, really good outcomes. And I don't think that we'd be where we are today if we didn't have that help from TOPS.
Yeah, great advice, and the mark of a great leader. Yeah, surrounds himself with great people, and Chris Taconis on the TOPS practice advisor coaching team, I know I think she adopted you all somewhere along the line. She feels part of the Academy Dental Care family, and that response, what your team said, is what we hear every day. Yeah. Is how soon can they come back, which is not usually the response teams have to a consultant. And because they become part of the team and just go to work and roll up their sleeves and make it happen. So, and that I think is hats off to your team for being coachable, because that is the skill on the other side that's required, is being eager to learn and wanting to improve. And you've attracted an amazing team, whatever your hiring system is, to attract and find good people, which is something that everybody is always looking for. So maybe reach back as we kind of wrap up our conversation here. Practice pearls. If you had to, identify some things in your practice, in addition to what we've already talked about, that you wouldn't practice without, whether it's an idea, a concept, something you do, what makes Academy Dental Care special that's part of your secret sauce?
So I would say this is something that we have for any teammate that is new to our organization that we bring in, is that there's 3 things that make you successful at Academy Dental Care. The first thing, take care of your team. Be a great teammate, grow in your role, and be the best that you can be. The second thing is make sure that you take care of the patients. Make sure that we diagnose perio, make sure that we do the right thing for the patient, have really good communication skills so that we can help patients fit dentistry into their budget and into their lives. And then the last thing is making sure that everybody on the team understands their purpose and believes in the vision of the practice. And really, when those three things happen, you have a team that works great together and can really create great outcomes for patients. And so that's something that everybody on the team, really follows. And when you do those three things at Academy Dental Care, like, we do amazing things for our patients and for each other.
You did not even hesitate when I asked you that question, and I did not prep you for that. You got it down, which is the mark of excellence. You know exactly what makes it work and what makes your practice different. So thank you for sharing that, and thanks for your great leadership and example, and for the amazing practice that you continue to build. It's a model, and I know it's a shining light in Albuquerque of what dentistry should be like for patients.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks for making it happen, and thanks for taking a minute out of your day today to join us on Crown Council Live.
Sure thing. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Gabe. All right. Thanks for joining us today on Crown Council Live. We've had a great hour with Stuart Anderson and the whole Crown Council team that just landed here in Dallas for an amazing experience with our Child Life Zone directors that'll all be together tomorrow. And Dr. David Phelps from Freedom Founders, Dr. Chad Boger from Plymouth, Minnesota, and Gabe Gonzalez from Academy Dental Care. We have just such an amazing community of top quality practices and dentists and team members all over the country, building quality practices, creating a culture of success every day in their practice and in their community, and doing good. And that's part of the whole formula. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to having you with us next week on Crown Council Live. Have a great day.